Greetings! So after having asked you guys both on Twitter and YouTube, the vast majority of you seem to be interested in a reaction from myself because EA released a new FIFA 21 gameplay trailer with a lot more information, but most importantly, they released a massive pitch notes article that gave us never before seen information behind some of the decisions made prior to a game being released. Huge disclaimer, this is really important, guys. It goes without saying that this is just a trailer, and what we're going to be looking after the trailer are just pitch notes and therefore just words. If I say I like what they say, or if I say that I don't like what they say, it doesn't mean that it's all set in stone that the game's going to be good or the game's going to be bad. This is just based on what we've been given so far. And like last time, I'm not going to watch the whole trailer with you guys. I'm only going to react to the certain points that make me want to say everything. If you want to see the entire trailer, go check it out. We're going to be mostly discussing when the pitch notes comes out, but these are just quick reactions, my real live reaction to the trailer.
Dynamic one-on-ones put you in charge of 1v1 battles.
Why do they keep putting nutmegs, bro?
Hold down the right shoulder button and use the left stick to get close control over the ball.
Well, that answers that. Remember, guys, in my last trailer review when we were asking, what does agile dribbling mean? Does that mean it's left stick dribbling, or is it a new feature where you press a button? Well, that answers that. You press R1 and you start agile dribbling. What do I think? I mean, that looks terrifyingly overpowered. I mean, this is giving me like the ultimate FIFA 17 crab walking vibe. So hopefully it makes sense. And it's not just spammed into oblivion, but the first look of it, it's like the first vibe I get is someone who has endured Weekend League in every single FIFA that had Weekend League. It looks like something that's going to be used and abused to oblivion and beyond.
In past seasons, you rely on the AI to make the right runs off the ball.
In past seasons, you rely on the AI to make the right runs off the ball. I mean, why do you make it sound like that's a bad thing, number one? Number two, that's not true for FIFA 20. On FIFA 20, I relied on absolutely zero AI teammates to make any sort of movement off the ball, but you know, I'm being overly critical here. I get it. I'm just saying that sentence emotionally scarred me because of what I went through this year, so I just had to say it.
Watch how a tap on the left bumper and a flick of the right stick sends Salah into space before he dispatches the return. Or lock onto one player to take matters into your own hands.
Alright, so the Salah run looks okay. A diagonal run, I haven't seen that in a long time, but here's my thing. In FIFA 20, it was super important to call players short with the R1 button feature. The downside was that it was super inaccurate, unreliable, and sometimes took you 3, 4, 5 attempts to get the right guy to come at you. So my question is, will this be accurate? Will you have to flick your right stick to trigger the direction 17 billion times before you get the right guy? Are you going to be able to trigger the run on the right guy? Is it going to be accurate? Who knows? Number two, the second clip actually worries me a lot. Is that you taking control of an AI teammate while the AI takes control of the guy with the ball? Am I seeing this right? Is this basically the same thing as in pro clubs when no one plays as the any and you're all running around and you're all pressing pass by requesting the ball from the AI? I don't know how I feel about that one. More on that later though.
World-class forwards like Sergio Aguero hold their runs to stay onside.
Alright, that run from Aguero was very sexy. Like, you see how he comes back? I love that. So we can now move on from the running endlessly into offsides and they come back, and that's amazing. What worries me? Pay to win. This screams pay to win. Everything seems to be based on replicating their real-life counterparts. Do they want an Aguero to feel like an Aguero? If so, that's also good. The counterpart, or the obvious downside of that, is that this could make the game extremely pay to win. Also, they fixed the offensive problem of keeping their runs going even though you're in offside position. But what about what we've been talking about for years? What happens to the defender? As you can see here, Robertson keeps going. He should be more reactive in coming back and stopping his coverage of someone who's not going anymore, because we've seen this before, right? I've been talking about this for years, about how defenders keep dropping back mindlessly because they keep tracking someone who's offsides. Why is Robertson still going on more than he should in this case? And so if they've solved the issue of an offensive player going offsides by making him stop his run and come back on sides to balance it, they need to make sure that defenses don't mindlessly drop back and they hold their line, because they do. I watch plenty of football and defenders don't just keep dropping back and create inefficiencies in the line. Not as big as they do in FIFA, so I hope that's addressed.
And defensive giants like Van Dijk block more effectively when they get in the way of shots and crosses.
Oh my lord. Are you telling me Van Dijk is going to be even better? I mean, Joe, jokes aside, look, if someone's in front of you and it gets blocked, I think that's fine. Also, I saw some negative reactions on Twitter to that, saying, oh no, they increased AI blocks. We'll have to see. I mean, in theory, if an AI player is in front of you, it's your fault for shooting while he's in front of you, right? He's going to have to block it. The ball shouldn't morph through him. At the same time, if he's not in front of you and he glides from meters away to get the ball, that's AI blocking. So there's a slight nuance to the two things. We'll see how it plays out, but Van Dijk is looking more broken than ever, so he might retain his title as Virgil Van Broken. We'll have to see.
FIFA 21 also smooths out those defense v attack free-for-alls when the ball goes loose in the box with a refreshed collision system.
I mean, on paper, that's phenomenal, right? But again, they advertised 50-50 challenges, 50-50 moments, whatever, in FIFA 20, and the result was abysmal. So this, to me, is like one of the few things that I can't take them on their word, because is it going to play out as they showed? I hope so. I hope we don't see the collisions. If they found a way to remove the collisions and it's a smooth, especially defensively, where all these dirty situations in the box don't end up screwing you over, I mean, that's phenomenal, but we'll have to see, because again, a lot of these things have always been promised but never really came to fruition.
Competitor mode gives you an idea of what it's like to play against the best FIFA players in the world, giving your opponent better skill moves, dribbling, and all-round tactical awareness, so you can take it beyond legendary.
Are you wait. Are you telling me they're advertising a competitor mode, which, by the way they described it, and I think I saw a bit of it on the pitch notes, it's a mode where you can make it harder to play the AI, where the AI replicates the playstyles of the best players in the world, and to showcase you playing against an AI that tries to replicate the best players in the world, the clip that has been shown is a clip that you tackle this so-called godly AI, and it doesn't matter, he just morphs through you, the ball goes under your legs, and he retains the ball. I mean, I know playing pro players is like extremely cheesy. I mean, the things they managed to do, the 50-50 balls they managed to win is insane, but I mean, come on, you'd have to be this obvious. All right, that's pretty much it for the main things that I wanted to talk about the trailer. If you want to see the full trailer, go check it out yourself. There's not much more to say. Let's look at what they have to say in the pitch notes. That's what I'm really concerned about. First things first, here's the pitch notes. It's massive, right? So we're going to go over the most important things in my opinion, but can we get a round of applause for EA, specifically Tom Kalefi and Zaro, the two dudes who wrote this, because you might not like the game, you might not like the changes they make, but in my opinion, the more info we get, the better, and I enjoy this. So, like, you know, you can't ask for more. Well, you can ask for more, but at the same time, we're getting information that allows us to sort of understand their decisions that you might agree or disagree with, and trust me, I disagree with plenty of them, but you know, this is way better than what we've had, so I appreciate the descriptions. Obviously, like always, the game itself being released will be the major decider, but, you know, credit where credit is due. This type of article being released explains a lot. Before they get into any actual specific session, the first thing they want to mention is that one of their main goals is to make players feel like their actual counterpart in real life. So they want to make it a De Bruyne feel like a De Bruyne, and Aguero like an Aguero. On paper, obviously, this sounds great. If you're someone who wants the perfect simulation, you're going to salivate at this. The downside, though, is that this is going to make pay to win probably even more prevalent. As we can see here, they talk about how in the past, through balls were a mix and depended on short passing and long passing being combined together, the stats, right? So someone with 80 and 80 will pass worse than someone who has 90 long passing and 90 short passing. In FIFA 21, though, they increase it. So the stats that are going to matter when you do a through pass are short passing, long passing, vision, and composure. So more than ever, stats are going to matter. Hopefully the execution is good, because that's what essentially matters the most here. If the execution is good, this is a thumbs up. If not, this is going to be even more pay to win. And Toni Kroos is still not going to be usable. And before long, we get into agile dribbling and how they describe it as a new way to keep close control of the ball in FIFA 21. They want you to use it as a way to get by opponents. And like we looked at the example earlier, it looks gimmicky. It looks like it has the potential of being super overpowered. And I understand trying to give you a tool that can counteract fast jockeying, but how's the execution going to be? At this moment, without having touched the game, it just looks like something that's going to be over spammed to get by an opponent. The same way back in FIFA 17, every time someone got the ball, they would crab walk for a few seconds, then pass it off to someone else. So is this what's going to happen? Are we always going to be seeing our opponents crab walk for a few seconds with this new dribbling feature? Because that makes it less of a football game and more of like a street football simulation. This looks like a street football mechanic. The good news though is that dribbling has supposedly improved across the board, so while it might be annoying that they added this feature, at the very least they do say that dribbling will also be improved for strafe dribbling, but most importantly left stick dribbling. The next section being mentioned is creative runs. Now while I should be jumping out of my seat for this because we made a video that talked about offensive AI, on the other hand I'm kind of sad this is the main direction. Obviously there are overall improvements on offensive AI that have nothing to do with how you trigger a run, so I'm happy about that. But it seems to me like the main focus here was creating a means to help you direct runs. And now you might be thinking, Stallion, why aren't you ecstatic about manually triggering runs? And the reason is because I always felt like the foundation of offensive AI should be your offensive teammates not picking out runs, giving you the opportunity to pick out runs, right? And you pick them out, and that's the skill gap. And then defensively, you have to track those runs, and offensively, you have a window of time where you pick those out. Obviously, this lets you achieve that as well, but it makes it down to how you trigger your runs, and I feel like it might be limited. Maybe it won't be, but I just hope that on top of this, the basic offensive AI is better. I don't want this to be FIFA 20 offensive AI and then you just flick runs and all that stuff, because they talk about different ways that you can flick your runs. The first type of runs are directed runs, which is basically the same thing as we have now. Right now, if you press L1 while aiming at your teammate will be triggered into a run. The problem is that the run that he makes is always linear and straight. This year, with the right stick, after you've triggered that run, you can aim the right stick and tell him in which direction you want him to run. That's good, but again, like I mentioned earlier, will it be as unreliable as calling a player short was this year? Will you be able to consistently aim and achieve the angles you desire, assuming you're doing everything correctly? So we'll see. The second type of run, and this is actually my favorite, is called the directed pass and go. So right now in FIFA 20 and any FIFA, if you hold L1 while you press the pass button, the guy who passes will automatically perform a run after he makes the pass. They take it a step further, and now you can do that. And on top of that, you can tell the guy who's running, the guy you've just passed the ball with, where to run to afterwards. This one is my favorite because it's less reliant on you aiming and potentially the game screwing you over, because there's no way you can mess this up because you're directing the guy you've just passed to. So after you make the pass, you can flick your right stick in the direction of where you want the guy who you just pressed pass with to go, and I think this one is my favorite, and I'll definitely be very excited to try this one out. One thing they do mention though is that you can have up to 5 players performing a run, and that might be a problem. I just hope it doesn't feel like a swarm of bees going into the box and it's not spammed every play. I'm sure it won't be, but that's just my concern with that. They also mentioned player lock, where if you press in both of your sticks, you can lock on to a CPU player, which means you completely give up control of whoever has the ball, and you select the guy off the ball, which we showed in the trailer. And I don't know about this one. This one scares me because, like I said earlier, it reminds me of when you play pro clubs. No one is the any, and to get the ball from the any, aka the CPU, you press pass, and that's you requesting the ball. When I request pass and say I give up the control of the guy or the ball holder, if that ball holder is someone with really high passing, is it going to be overpowered? Am I letting the CPU pass into space for me? I mean, that sounds like it could have a lot of overpoweredness, and we'll have to see. I hope it doesn't get abused. I think this is really pushing it. The next bit, positioning personality, kind of alleviates any worries I had before, because the fact that they're focusing so much on personality, meaning that perhaps we go back to what FIFA 17 was, where someone like Luis Suarez felt like super unique in terms of the movements he gave us. So they're putting a lot of emphasis on making sure that players with high offensive positioning, at least on the offensive end, will act accordingly and give you runs and show themselves. So obviously this is bad in terms of pay to win, but good in the sense that finally, for God's sake, people are going to show themselves. They're going to move around even without you triggering runs. There are signs that they're making an effort of making sure the foundation of offensive AI is a lot better. They take it even further here, as you can see with this drawing, as I'm showing you here. Positioning low, you see this man kept going off sides. High positioning, this man holds his position, which lets you have a bigger window of opportunity to feed the ball. So this really confirms the pay to win aspect. So whether or not that's good, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? And this can be further seen with these comments here. They talk about passer readiness runs, meaning the better player will make more runs more frequently in more intelligent spaces, and so you'll have more windows of opportunity when you have better players. All these things are really great. Decision-making time and intelligence, making stats more important. Finally, we understand offensive awareness actually matters. Passing lane analysis, where the next best move to be is, and all these things like opening up space. And here in this clip, it's a beautiful one. It reminds me of FIFA 17, where you see this player drop away, right? Now, the important thing is that, okay, say it's fair enough that better cards behave better. That's fine. I can agree with you. The important thing here is that the fundamentals of passing are there, and interceptions and defending are there to allow you to make sure that even if someone has a better team than you, you have a chance to stop it. So if passing assistance is the way it was in FIFA 20, FIFA 19, FIFA 18, FIFA 17, then we're kind of in a pickle here. We're kind of screwed, because you're telling people that have spent more, they have players that run in better positions more frequently, to the point where you don't even have to care if the passing lane's open, because the game will assist you, and no matter how you manually set yourself up defensively, you can't intercept it. So it's really important here, based on what they're telling us, based on the importance of stats and pay to win, that if you make the right call defensively, that you should be allowed to cut the passing lane even if you're using a bronze center back. Now, we really praised personality and player personalities as a focus, but that was offensively. Now we're talking about defending personalities and how all that changes and impacts the whole situation. And this is where, for me, it gets tricky, because they say the defensive awareness attribute can impact many elements of defending personality. So depending on one's defensive awareness, a player will be able to do more or less, like run tracking. Better defensive awareness center backs can track runs better than those with lower ones. I don't know how I feel about this one, because I always felt like tracking runs was something manual. I always felt like a defense in FIFA should hold their line and be flat, and then it's up to you to player switch and run back as necessary. So the same way defenders shouldn't mindlessly drop back, they shouldn't also just track runs for you to a degree that they make it sound like maybe it's nothing different, maybe it's the same as it's always been, but they make it sound like they're going to start tracking runs to degrees that we've never seen before, and this really scares me in terms of pay to win and AI defending. This two-man marking to prevent counterattacks really confuses me, because it says the ability for two high attribute defenders to mark a striker so they have limited space to avoid counterattack. Is this going to be a setting that you get to put on, so you can say, I want both of my center backs to mark the striker together, right? Because it says it requires two AI teammate players, each with very high defensive awareness. So once you have two very good center backs, can you tell them to mark a lone striker in a 4-2-3-1? Do they do that automatically? That's something I need to see more questions answered for. And then they talk about defensive midfielder diligent tracking. This again scares me in terms of, all right, obviously you don't want the AI to do nothing, but the way they word it, they make it sound like that the best defensive CDMs are literally going to do everything for you. And this one scares me even more. Defensive midfielder cutting passing lanes. At the end of the day, passing lanes should be something you do manually for the most part. The important thing is that when you do cut a passing lanes, the game doesn't assist the pass in a way that doesn't allow you to control it. Is it going to be another year of FIFA 20 where, ironically, pros would actually move players in passing lanes and switch out of them before the pass was made, because it was actually easier to intercept a pass if the AI did it as opposed to you? I hope that's not the direction that we're going to go into again, because it looks like there's a lot of AI focus that they do everything for you. And here I'm getting a lot of AI defending vibes and consistent vibes, and This is one of those that we're going to have to see, but I'm not really liking what I'm seeing here. And here they go on to say fullback cooperation, and they show us a clip. So they're trying to tell us that better awareness of the teammate fullback's positioning allow them to better work together when marking. So the better awareness a fullback has, the better he will, I'm guessing they're saying, cut inside, right? Because fullbacks with a high defensive awareness attribute are more effective defending runs. And you see the situation here, but shouldn't this happen if you switch out of this player? If you switch out of him into him, then you move him. I don't feel like this should happen with the AI unless you're pressing second man press. See, this is why second man press should be a thing. You switch into the fullback, hold second man press so you still have the CDM running back from behind, and you can cover this manually. Not that just because you have a high rated player with high awareness, all you do is run back and you worry about nothing, right? That's not what I'm like, because as you can see here, there's no R1 being pressed, right? The only button being pressed here is R2. So this is actually really bad. This is proof of AI defending. R2, he's running back, and AI defender just comes back. This is something really, I don't like this at all. The way this situation should resolve itself is that right here, you switch into him while you press second man press, so he keeps running back, and you manually go back. So the fact that the CPU does all of this, to me, is really bad. This is probably the worst thing I've seen so far in the pitch notes, and I'm actually really worried about this. Guys, this video is currently at 20 minutes long, so I'm getting worried. Now I'm gonna do a quick fire round for everything else. Smoother encounters, like I said in the trailer, this really depends, because it kind of reminds me of the 50-50 tackles being advertised pre-FIFA 20, but that didn't really work out, so hopefully this plays out. Enhanced CPU and AI competitor mode, I mean, this is playing against the AI, I don't really care. Fundamentals of football, number 1, headers. They're gonna make headers completely manual in any online game mode, which to me sounds pretty good. So long as I can score an open header, but I'm not getting El Tornadoed every time, thumbs up from me. Defending, they're saying that making an ideal standing tackle is going to be better because they're fixing positioning. Thumbs up for me if so. More pay to win though, saying allowing for the top defenders to stand out, but I mean, that's fair enough. Better shoulder challenges and CLS are good because they do mention the points in FIFA 20 where a lot of times you would morph through the offensive player, so if they actually fix this, mega thumbs up. Revised blocking, this could go one of two ways. Either we're back to AI blocks being insane, or we have a really good game. However, because players' attributes will determine the effectiveness of a block, that terrifies me because it's saying to me, I don't care if you're in front of me, if you have Virgil van Dijk, you're going to block it. If you don't, you're not going to block it. And that screams Knights of Terror for Stallion. Passing, now this is a section that terrifies me. The goal of this year is to create a more intelligent passing game. Oh, for the love of God, just please don't let there be assistance and let me intercept a pass if I read it. But they do say the system was rebuilt from the ground up, so I'm going to trust them that they did the right thing. Even though they say things, new passing trajectories and targets are possible, what do you mean? There were already so many trajectories the AI would auto assist in order to not let me intercept it. So allowing for killer through balls, I'm literally pooing my pants right now. This is too much. The new semi-assisted through ball assistance settings sounds good though, as it kind of reminds me of what PES does. So when they have different settings for passing assistance, and I remember I used a manual one for PES and I quite enjoyed them. There's some new crosses. I'm not interested because I'm not going to El Tornado anyone, but if you guys wanted to look, check out the pitch notes. Something that really excites me, improvements to the targets and trajectory of lobs and lob through pass. Thank the heavens, maybe now I'll be able to chip over a dropping back defender. Animation fluidity is the ultimate marketing fluff. They literally have the word nutmeg in this. Why, bro? What are you doing? Why do you do this to me? Now here, a quick fire round to say all the features that I really like. Cancel foul advantage, so if you have a foul and you don't want the play to go on, you can just call for the foul instantly. Love it. Instant hard tackle, so instead of charging up, you can instantly go for a hard tackle. Love it. Setup touch 2.0, because last year the setup touch was so bad already. Very scared. Call players into the box on goal kicks, which will automatically happen if you're on the possession preset, which is bad because that means we have the same custom tactics as before. Oh dear God, please. But hey, I mean, this is a good option as well. Improved super cancel mechanics. This is something that they took away from PES, like many features over the years. And actually, this is going to be super interesting when it comes out. I'll show you guys in a video what you can and can't do with it. But basically, you can cancel any action. You can also cancel any run. Say you're on a run and you know you're locked in that run. You can remove yourself from that run and confuse your opponent. Maybe you can juke him out. Sounds super fun if they can do it like PES, but better. Now they talk about more settings. Auto flare passes, you can finally turn them off. This is the biggest W ever. I cannot believe this. You can turn auto clearances off. Very, very hot over here. I think I'm going to try it with off, and then I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and do it myself. Auto shots on as well here. They take it on or off for you. This is great. All these options finally are available. A lot of you skillers are going to be really excited by the reduced penalty of chaining skill moves. They got more. Now you can do up to 3, which was 2 in FIFA 20. So this hopefully will help you guys who depend on the skill moves, although again, this is in Volta, so I didn't really mind this change, but maybe some of you guys will like it. In fact, you can even do up to 6 simple ones, so hopefully the drag back is awful this year. Speaking of the drag back, it's now L1 plus R1 in left stick, so hopefully only the octopus of the world will be able to perform this, because honestly, the 180-degree drag back is one of the worst moves of all time. No ball collision with hands. This is going to be huge for any of you guys who have constantly suffered from defenders stopping the ball with their hand and stopping you from scoring a goal, even though handballs don't get called. So now we'll go through the hands. This is one of the biggest ones. Quick tactics team press timer. We saw feedback around players being able to waste time in sometimes unrealistic ways, and that it was difficult for the defending team to try and get the ball back in these situations. To address this, we revamped the team press quick tactic to no longer result in a constant pressure defensive tactic and now trigger a temporary auto press behavior on demand. So it looks like it has a cooldown, so therefore you spam it the same way you spam offside trap, and this is a massive L. Instead of adding second man press, they give us this, where for some reason, it's worse for them to tell one teammate to press for you as opposed to having this team press defensive tactic where your whole team starts pressing. So I'm baffled by this. I really am. I wish it wasn't so, but it is what it is. We're going to go even more quickfire because this video is way too long, guys. Jockey acceleration, deceleration. So the worse the defensive awareness, the slower jockey effectiveness will be for that player. So that makes sense. I mean, it was already like that in general. Maybe not so because of defensive awareness, but high agility and balance made someone jockey better. Rest in peace, 81 Militao. We'll see. And then you see goalkeeper save consistencies, so the awkward punches are supposedly getting better, throw in positioning, chip shots accuracy, so general things that are all getting improved on. So hopefully they did listen. It sounds like a lot of the bugs are getting addressed, but again, it really sounds like there's a lot of big things that weren't addressed that I wish they were, that for me would have made the perfect game. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.